I hate to break the fishing news up, Chuck, but I'd like to speak about the ice hockey.
Congratulations, you're one of the 13 listeners of the Real Life Podcast.
We just traded a migraine in for like an orgasm.
Might want to mark that down,
Yep. All of my projects are on schedule until they're not.
A member of the Nation Network of Podcasts.
About as funny as we're going to get today.
Welcome in. Episode, what is this, 277? 263. It is episode 263 of the Real Life Podcast. It's myself. It is Baggedmilk. Jay, Chalmers, Wanye all said they weren't joining us, but now Jay has just connected on a chairlift.
Are you recording?
Yeah, we're recording already.
Awesome. Well, Chalmers and I are here.
Yeah,
well, I like that you boys are dedicated. Yes, you're dedicated to safety also. I see some helmets there. Congratulations, boys.
We want to wish you all a good episode.
Yep.
I really want to hear what the feedback has been about Tyler being a hero.
Probably.
I thought I had a clever tweet last night saying that you were flooding my timeline.
Yeah, I saw that.
That got no love. You saw it. I know you saw it, but no one responded to it. So
that gondola you're in is very loud at points.
Well, that's
of course
good.
it is. That's gondola life.
Yeah. Hashtag that shit.
Chalmers, you in the sauce already, even though it's 105?
We just wanted to see your beautiful faces.
Yeah, we just wanted to chime in.
Wanted to show you ours.
We miss you all. Have a good episode. Go fucking Oilers. So hot right now.
Yep.
Very hot right now.
They play tomorrow. Anyways, peace out.
All right, see ya. All right, there you go. That's how we start off the episode. Okay. Anyways,
see, like,
it's just
when we go back to the studio, that kind of shit isn't possible, you know?
Yeah, I guess. But then if we go back to the studio, that means I have to drive downtown all the time. So I actually kind of like doing it remotely. But this podcast is absolute mayhem at the best of times. So now everyone listening knows why Chalmers and Jay aren't here. They're skiing. Wanye is unavailable for today's podcast as well. So I texted our good friend Cam Lewis, Mr. Cooom. I said, hey, you want to hop on Real Life today? He said, sure. I sent him the link. And that was about 17 minutes ago. So at some point, Cooom is going to pop by. We're going to have Struddy in like 8 minutes as well. And then we're going to have our friend Scott Hastings from OddsShark later on in the show too, to talk a little betting.
I think it's fun that this is a very, very standard episode of Real Life where nothing about it makes sense. The roster is fluid. We've got nothing really on the agenda apart from our guests. This is a classic episode, my friend.
My motto for the Real Life Podcast is why prep? Because usually I'll put together a list of like 10 topics and we'll get to like one of them and then things will just become an absolute shit show. But then there's always the odd podcast where everyone's just like calm and quiet. And then they'll be like, you're MJ, you're the host. You should have topics. And it's like, well, of course, the one time I don't and all that, but there is shit to get to.
One time we should do this where it's just you and I, and then all we do is plan out the Friday episode of Oilersnation Radio.
That's a hell of a podcast. Now that's a podcast that has some structure.
This is just how this is the prep session. This is the whiteboarding. We're spitballing here for Oilersnation Radio. That's basically all Real Life is. It's just a feeder podcast for ON Radio.
Before we keep moving along here, need to let you know this podcast is brought to you by Oodle Noodle. 14 locations in Edmonton. New ones are coming. I saw Jay drop a little teaser of the location in Calgary as well. And remember, a portion of all in-store curbside pickup proceeds go towards local charities. Shout out to our friends at Oodle Noodle. There was actually
I was waiting. I can't wait to go back to Calgary. You know?
Yeah.
You came on to what? One of our road trips to Calgary?
One to Calgary, and then I was in Vegas, and that's it.
Man, today, March 11th, marks a year. It's the anniversary of the NBA shutting down. I was looking at the wrap-up I wrote for the Oilers-Jets game a year ago today.
Jeez.
Isn't it weird to think that a calendar, just like we've lost a calendar to this thing already? And I mean, you're on Instagram just like I am, Tyler. Do you, like, over the last 2 weeks, have you gotten these memories that come up like, hey, remember when you were in Vegas and you guys were all having a good time? Hey, do you remember when you guys went to Calgary and you were all having a good time?
Yep.
Like, it's crazy that we're already at a year of this.
Yeah, man, it's nuts. Like, I still remember Oilers Jets. There was, life was normal at that point. I went to Boston Pizza with some friends. We had our happy hour wings. We had a good time. We were drinking beers. And then I remember looking at my phone and seeing, oh man, the NBA's canceling games now. And I remember sitting there, and I've said this on the podcast before, but I sat there and I went, oh man, this might be the last Oilers game we get for a few weeks or a few months. Holy shit. We had no clue, man. Yeah. Like, I'm sure there were people who were wise to it and knew how big of a deal it was, but I certainly wasn't. And I think a lot of people are in the same boat as me.
I think nobody had any idea is the reality, obviously. Yeah. Even looking through, like I said, I was reading the wrap up from a year ago today. Oilers lost to the Jets. And in the comment section, a bulk of it, a big chunk of it, I should say, was just, it'll be a couple of weeks. Maybe they come back with empty buildings. It was that kind of thing. It was just purely pure speculation at that point. Yeah. And as I woke up this morning and I was watching the news, it's weird. But you know what? I think you would like it, Tyler. If you get a chance, try and find... I was watching Yahoo Finance this morning, and they did probably like a 10-minute segment with Adam Silver. And he did a kind of almost like an hour by hour walkthrough of what happened with the NBA as they decided to shut things down last year.
Yeah.
It was intense. It was pretty intense. And it was interesting to see him walk through that from a behind the scenes perspective of what it takes to shut down a major league sport like that. And I also thought it was interesting that Adam Silver even admitted he's just like, we didn't think we were shutting down the league permanently as we did, or, semi-permanently. We thought it was going to be a minor delay and then we'd be back, but here we are, still recording pods from home.
That means we are now in week 53 of what was it? 10 weeks to flatten the curve, or 4 weeks to flatten the curve, whatever the fucking buzzwords were a year ago today. Oh man.
Shout out to all the people that have stockpiled toilet paper and are now looking at a mountain of it in their basements.
And fuck those people too, because they were a big part of the problem a year ago today. The people who didn't understand, or overreacted in that sense of it. But it'll be interesting to see where we are a year from now. And that's something I've been thinking about today too, is like, I think of myself a year ago and sort of how you viewed this whole thing. A year from now, will we have plastic dividers everywhere still?
It's just the two of us. Let's do some bold predictions.
Well, so a year from now, Baggedmilk, it will be, we'll be coming down the stretch drive of an Oilers season, be about a month left. Do you think you'll be sitting at an arena with 18,000 people a year from now?
18,000? I don't know. Because I know the Oilers sent out an email to season ticket holders. It was yesterday or the last couple of days, talking about how they're working to see if there's a possibility of having some fans in the building. I think that a year from now, let's fast forward a year, bold prediction, we have fans in the building. I don't know if it's capacity. Let's say 50%.
I think we'll be full capacity a year from now. And maybe that's just me being naive and too optimistic, but I just look at the vaccination schedule, when everyone should be able to get a needle, when everyone...
I had an idea.
Yeah.
We give all Albertans 50-50 tickets with their vaccination. If we can do that, we'll have this fucking province vaccinated by the weekend.
Yeah.
We just need to pull the trigger on it.
You get the vaccination as long as you buy a $20 50-50 to support Alberta Health Services. I bet. Yeah.
And when you go back for your second needle, then you can buy discounted 50-50. So instead of getting 50 for $20, you can get 50 for 10. And people will be like, whoa.
I got to get that second shot.
Time to get this vaccine. See,
I think a year from now we'll have full barns again. I just think
so. I would love that you'd be right.
I think everyone will be vaccinated. And I think at that point, like, I know there's talk about like, oh, well, what about if the vaccination wears off? What if it, we'll always be living with this? And I think that's true, but I also think there's a portion of society, and I totally understand it, who once they get vaccine one will be like, that's it. If this shit comes back, you go with vaccines again then, but I'm not fucking going without normal life anymore. And it'll just be interesting. Like, I'm excited for the first time I get to walk into Rogers Place, not have a mask on, and stand next to 10 other people in line for the pisser, right? Anyways.
I'm excited to be at a table with you, Tyler, having a beer.
Yeah.
I haven't had a beer with you in over a year.
Yeah, man. Like, even just getting down to the pint or doing like a nation party, wherever it is, that's going to excite me too.
Yep. I like your prediction. I like yours better than mine. Mine's overly pessimistic, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Full barns in 2022. Let's go.
Well, we can always get to that with our friend Jason Strudwick. I know we said Cooom was joining us, but he's a little bit held up right now. So we're going to get right to our chat with Struddy. This chat with Jason Strudwick is brought to you by Vision VR Hockey Training. Train your hockey brain to see the plays to make on the ice with their off-ice reps on their virtual reality training system. They are located in St. Albert. Chalmers the other day talked about how some local hockey teams have basically leftover budget that they have to spend in a way to develop the players. You can't send money back to the parents from a fundraiser. Why not book some sessions at visionvrhockey.com? Use up that extra budget and get your players a little bit better. Struddy, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Oh, fantastic. We were just we were doing like our sort of, it's been 1 year since everything shut down. It's been 1 year since the last Oilers game before the pandemic. And we're floating out the question of 1 year from now, do you think we'll have full barns in the NHL, full arenas?
Oh, yeah. I think 1 year from now, for sure. I feel pretty comfortable with that. But you think back to a year ago when the NBA shut down and then the NHL followed suit. I remember saying on air, like, let's just take a couple of weeks and kind of just see how things go. And I'm not embarrassed to say I was a pretty ignorant comment. But I think a lot of people felt like that. And here we are, a year later, we're unable to gather with family and friends. Kids' sports look different. Kids' schools look everything. When people working from home, it's just changed so much. So, it's amazing to think how much has changed in 1 year.
If you think about it, Struds, what's the first event or gathering or anything you're looking forward to when we're all able to do it?
Yeah, you know what? I love sporting events. I'd love to go to a hockey game, but I don't like concerts. But I've really got a hankering to go to a concert with some friends. Yeah. Have a couple Bud Lights if things go well, and then shake it up. So I think that's probably a concert is. I don't care what it could be Taylor Swift, and I'll be heading out to see a concert.
I'd go see a Taylor Swift concert right now.
I'd be grateful to see some Swifties.
Struddy, let's talk about this hockey team a little bit. I remember the passionate debate you and Gregor had on the show after their win against Vancouver when you said, there's some not good signs with the team after that second win against Vancouver. They got swept by Toronto, but now they've bounced back with 3 wins. Has this team changed at all and grown from the losses to Toronto, or are they just beating up on bad opponents right now?
Well, I think it's humbling when you get beat by the Leafs, especially when everyone in the North was watching. Everyone wanted to see what they were doing or what they could do. And, it's pretty impressive to see all that stuff. Someone's at my door, I guess.
That's a hell of a doorbell you have.
Yeah, it's a really nice chime right there.
It's pretty classy. Okay, answer the door. They'll figure it out. But I think that, you look at it from that game of Toronto, they got manhandled, right? So now you're trying to figure out a way to dig out of it. And I think the brightest spot for me is that they did dig out of it. They were humble. They were pissed off after the game. And they figured out a way to be how to get in there and be involved and to come back and have a couple rebound games. Now, Ottawa last night was awful. Like,
terrible.
Honestly, I think they thought they were going to a roller skating party when they're 9 years old with their nice muffs on the side of their skates. It was the horrendous performance. So, the Oilers are getting their beaks wet. Everyone's getting a lot of touches. So now the problem is not to develop any bad habits because what do they have? Calgary and Vancouver, the next 4 games after this Friday. So, it's always about, is this team mature enough to understand that you have to play the same all the time? And if you start to cheat, you got to get your game back in quickly. And I said at that game against Vancouver, you could start seeing the negative, the soft plays, and they got abused by Toronto. Now maybe Toronto's on the opposite. Maybe Toronto is right dialed in because they've lost 3 in a row now. Yeah. So it's that up and down, right? You got to figure that out.
You talk about cheating a little bit, Struds. To me, having Connor and Leon on the same line is a cheat code that Dave Tippett is flexing a little bit this week. Do you think this is a long-term thing for the Oilers? Personally, I don't know how you can have those two together long-term.
Yeah, it's not a long-term solution. And right now I think this week is the perfect thing because Ottawa, you're just spanking them, right? You're just absolutely spanking Ottawa. They have no one that can match up with it. But when you go back against Calgary and Vancouver, you're going to need that depth of two guys separated. Then other people have to step up. They got to get Cahoon's got to get himself going. These different guys have to get cast when he gets back, and he get back to a higher level of play. And whether or not he takes a fully RVM moto spot is still in doubt. But this is what it's all about. And having them split up is the long term solution. I also think, as a side note, I really think they put those two guys together to kind of get their energy going as well. Maybe Dave Tippett felt they were maybe a little bit flat, maybe a little fatigued. You put them together, it brings more energy.
It's pretty funny how we talked about a Leon Draisaitl slump where like he didn't score for 8 games. He went like ice cold, but he's still second in the league in scoring and top 5 in goals right now. I mean, those two are it's just unbelievable, the numbers they've been putting up so far this year. Struddy, talking about McDavid and Draisaitl's dominance, I want you to dig back into the memory bank, and I'm always interested to ask this question. Going back through whether it was in junior or minor hockey, bantam, peewee, I don't care. Who is the most dominant teammate you ever had?
Oh, dominant. Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Darcy Tucker was pretty dominant in junior. Yeah. He was scoring at will, but he was so competitive, right? In the NHL, I'd have to say, when Todd Bertuzzi was on a roll, he couldn't handle it. He was so big and so strong and so skilled. And, it's funny, we still talk quite often, he and I always ask him, like, how did you learn that stuff? He's like, I was a bit of a bully and I just figured out how to bully my way around the ice, and he had a lot of skill. So, that's a pretty rare combination. You have size and kind of that bully and that attitude. I think Nathan McKinnon's a little bit like that. He's a little bit of a bully. Mikko Rantanen, who's still one of my favorite guys, he's kind of like that, a bit of a bully. He gets the puck, he pushes people around. And, I hope for Dustin Nielsen's sake that Puljujärvi kind of learns that.
Yeah.
When you're big and strong, doesn't matter if the other guys are smaller. Push them out of the way, shove them around, be a bit of a bully.
You got to see a little bit of that in Draisaitl's game. Like sometimes he gets sort of that mean face going and he'll back his ass up into someone trying to hit him, or he'll give someone a cross check. He's not afraid to, if you come at him hard, he'll give you a fuck you right back.
And I think that's like, as a defender, I can tell you it's difficult when guys push back. When I kind of go through the NHL when I was playing against the better players, I would test them. I'd give them a little whack or a little cross check and see what their response was. And if they just turned around and gave me a whack back or just kept skating or whatever, I got this guy, or this guy's going to compete. Because I always wanted the guys that didn't compete. Like, I pushed hard on them, they'd give up. But more often than not, the best players, they might not like turn around and fight you, but they would give you a little shot back and then come at you and just keep going at you. And that edge is hard for defenders because they're like, oh God, he might not only be more skilled than me, but he might be as competitive. And that's a dangerous duo.
Talking about some compete, a guy that I want to ask your take on, since he's come back from the taxi squad, Jujhar Khaira has looked like a different player. Scored again last night. He's had a couple of scraps so far since being called back. What are you seeing in Jujhar's game right now that's keeping him in Dave Tippett's lineup?
Well, he's always been that guy that is, you're like, oh man, he's got so much ability. He could do so much. And then his play drops off. And I think the biggest word we're looking for is consistency. When Jujhar's engaged physically and has a bit of an edge to his game and a little bit grumpy, he's a much better player. He's not skilled enough to just be a pure skilled player. I mean, I wish he was, and this isn't a slight, but he isn't. So you've got to find another way to bring your bit of that edge to your game. And a guy I'll talk about is Winnipeg's Adam Lowry. Adam Lowry is a big, heavy centerman, good on draws, kills penalties, and he's mean and he's grumpy to play against. And you have to bring that every night. So we've seen it in the past from Jujhar, but not consistently. And since coming back, and I do believe that last trip to the taxi squad, there must have been a conversation maybe between him and the coaching staff, maybe his agent or a friend, said, Jujhar, you're running out of chances. You're running out of chances because the talent's there. But if you're not going to deliver night in, night out, coaches don't want third and fourth line players that they're not sure they're going to get night in, night out. They want to have effort. That's why you look at a guy like Devin Shore. You know what you can get from every night. He's going to work his hardest. He might not have the most skill, but he's going to bring it. Patrick Russell, you know exactly what you're getting from it. When you're in that position, you have to be predictable work. It doesn't mean you're perfect, but you're going to bring your hard helmet and work hard every day. And Jujhar's starting to get that. He's kind of got that long flow now. He looks grumpy out there. Like, he's exactly what the Oilers need.
One player I want to get your take on, I don't know if we're calling him Willie Legs or Billy Legs or whatever, but I like watching William Lagesson play hockey. Like, a lot of times you don't notice him, but that's almost a compliment to the style of player he is. It's easy to see why Dave Tippett trusts him and likes having him in the lineup. What makes William Lagesson so effective?
I remember watching him in training camp a few years ago, and I liked him right away. Now, let's be honest, he's a lot more like Jason Strudwick than he is Scott Niedermayer. So, like, I think there's a little bit of, bias here. But I like from Willie that he plays inside you. So, like, he's going to get on you and grind on you and, slash and make the simple play. And not everyone in the lineup has to do extraordinary things on the back end. sometimes, and I think he played like about 19 and a half minutes last night, sometimes just playing 15 minutes of mistake-free hockey that's hard and you can be counted on a kill penalty, that's enough. Also, he makes like 700 grand or 800 grand. So that's a real discount. When you look at last year, like Matt Benning, who I have a lot of time for, if he was making 1 or something, or 2 million, whatever it was, 2 million, there it is. So this is a big discount. So having a guy that can come in and battle and be hard to play against, make simple plays. And I do think there's more offense than we've seen from this guy. And I'm not suggesting he's going to turn into a Tyson Barrie, but I think he can find another layer of offense once he feels comfortable. But I've always liked Willie Lagesson, and I'm glad that he's finally getting rewarded because he's different than Caleb Jones. Caleb skates better, moves the puck better. But Caleb, right now, he's kind of dealing with what Jujar had, a little bit of inconsistency in his game. Where Willie, as a coach, you put him in, you know exactly what you're getting from him. And I think that's something that you want as a coach, especially in this shortened season.
That's something I kind of had a bit of a debate about earlier today. The idea that like someone was like, oh, why isn't Caleb Jones is way more talented than William Lagesson? And, you know, it's building a blue line's not just about throwing your 6 most skilled players out there and saying, fuck, figure it out, keep pucks out of the net. Like you do need a little bit of a mix of the Ethan Bears and Evan Bouchards and the guys like William Lagesson, who you can just trust to give you solid minutes and who are a little bit mean, right? Like there needs to be that mix.
A mix is the best word, and a balance. Like, you don't need all 6 Tyson Barries and you don't need all, 6 Willie Lagesson, but you want to have a little bit of everything. Like in a perfect world, I still like my defense being balanced, left and right, bit like a Larson with, let's say, I guess Caleb Jones. It is, like a guy who are maybe on the other side would be better with like Tyson Barrie and Darnell Nurse. They both bring something unique to the pairing. I don't like having the exact same on the same pairing. You want to have some flexibility. This guy jumps into play more. This guy stays back a little more. This guy's a little more physical. This guy's a little more stick checker. So I think that there's a place for him. I think Caleb Jones is still evolving as a player. I wonder, at times, does he have the habits that were acquired as a pro yet, where every game's the same. Like when everyone talks, I talk about the way you have to be the same every game, but every practice should be similar as well. Consistent in the way you deliver the puck, the consistent way you go back at the puck, snapping around, how your practice habits. And that'll translate. And that's talking about becoming a pro. So I think Caleb Jones has still got a lot of runway ahead of him. But it's, people get so upset when it's just like, oh, this isn't going well. And they hate him. No, they want him to do well, Caleb Jones. It's just they're continuing to work.
You brought up Adam Larson. To me, by my eye, from where I blog, I feel like he's had a turnaround and has improved steadily as the season's gone on. What's your take on Adam Larson? Because to me, he was struggling mightily in January, but as we've progressed through February now into March, he's looking a lot more like the shutdown guy we're used to.
He is. Now, first off, it's a contract year. So let's just keep that in mind. And I'm not saying that's the only reason he's playing better, but that always is a little extra motivation for players to turn it around. But I think that a guy like that maybe needs a bit of training camp to find his timing, to find his rhythm, how he wants to play. And last year wasn't his best year, so I think now he has some confidence too. And confidence isn't just for goal scorers. It's also for guys that shut down people. Like getting up to take a gap, that takes confidence to take a gap away from a forward. And when you're feeling, you get up there really close and you want to take that gap. And Larson's doing a good job of all those things. The interesting part for me is what happens next year with him. It sounds like the salary cap's going to be low for quite a while, or it's not going to go up. So there might be an opportunity for him to re-sign here, depending on what happens with Tyson Barrie and some of the other guys that they have. So, does he get a raise? I have a hard time believing in a flat cap time that he's getting the raise. So, does the same deal make him happy for a couple of years? I'm not sure, but I do know that this team is trending upwards, and there's more youth coming and better young players coming up. So as a veteran, I want to be around that because I want to be someone to win. I could maybe get more money going somewhere else where we're going to lose, but losing isn't really fun. He's done that pretty much his whole career.
Are we talking about Adam Larson or Ryan Nugent-Hopkins here?
Well, I know you guys have had the Nuge topic. I don't want to get into that, but Nuge is a little bit different situation. But I do think like a flat cap, that affects every contract. It doesn't matter if you're UFA or RFA.
Yeah, I think you're bang on with that. It's going to be a fascinating the rest of the season is going to be great. Hopefully it's a long playoff run, but this off season with the decisions the Oilers have to make on this blue line, it's going to be a really interesting one. Like Ken Holland, I do not envy the position he's in because he's going to have to probably lose a good young D-man potentially to Seattle, and he might have to deal another one too just to sort of make everything work. But Struddy, we appreciate your time as always, man.
Thanks, guys. I'll hopefully be able to figure out how to turn off the screen this time.
There you go. Go get whoever was at your door. Go answer the doorbell, Struddy.
No, who is that annoying? Okay, see you guys later.
Yeah. All right. There you go. That's Jason Strudwick. It's brought to you by Vision VR Hockey Training. Train your hockey brain to see the plays to make with off-ice reps on their virtual reality training system. It's located in St. Albert. It is perfect for your minor hockey team or your beer league team, or if you just want to go check it out because you're kind of interested. It took Struddy that entire ad read to figure out how to turn off his camera.
We'll get there one day.
Fuck.
Tyler, I got to ask you.
Yeah.
I want to right side defense. What are you doing on the right side defense? You've got two big UFAs sitting there. You've got obviously Tyson Barrie.
Yeah. You've
got Adam Larson. And then the other two are relatively inexperienced, although Ethan Bear's, in his second full campaign, I guess.
Oh, man. To me, the big thing, and I see Cam is waiting in the waiting room right now, so I'll bring him in just a second here. He's been waiting now for like 10 minutes. I don't know what we're going to get. The clef bomb thing is still everything to me. I cannot make a decision, cannot be definitive with anything on this blue line until I know about Oscar Klefbom and if he's going to be coming back from surgery. Because we got the news today. He's finally going to Cleveland. He's getting the surgery on March 20 something. If that's 6 to 9 months he's out for, which is, I think a fair timeline to give this, that means
that would put it until like
September to December.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll be interesting. Before we bring in Cooom, need to give some love to our friends at twigandberries.ca. Good local product, no judgment, no shaming, no fancy words, just real men. Baggedmilk, you got a pair of the nutsack underwear. So do I. They are
I'm wearing them right
drawer.
now.
They are top drawer. And you save 15% with the promo code Nation15. Let's bring in Mr. Cam Lewis now. Again, he's been in the waiting room for about 15 minutes while we talk to Struddy, so I have no clue if he's actually... Oh, yeah, he's there. Hey, Cam, you turn on lights at all? Or?
No.
I like this. Cam sitting in the dark.
I like sitting in the dark. It's nice. I'm a vampire.
Cam, I just asked Tyler a question, and I want to ask you the same question. Oilers' right side of the defense. They've got Barrie that's a UFA. They've got Larson that's a UFA. And then Bear and Bouchard are relatively inexperienced. What are you doing on that right side?
I think in this situation, a story from the past offers a tale of caution. There was once an NHL team who, on their 50-man roster, had two right-handed defensemen. And one of them was pretty good, wasn't great, young, had some flaws, and then they found another one. He was an NCAA free agent. He came in, did quite well. And they decided, this gives us an opportunity to get rid of that other right-handed defenseman. Mm-hmm. So they did that. And they traded him away for a second-round pick. And then it turned out that NCAA signing couldn't handle playing 37 minutes a night. And he drowned in the deep end. And then they traded him away for a third-round pick. And he went on to win 2 Stanley Cups with the Pittsburgh Penguins, while that other first right-handed defenseman is now arguably the best defenseman of the Montreal Canadiens. I'd say he's a first-pairing defenseman on most teams in the league. And those players are Jeff Petrie and Justin Schultz. And the lesson is having a lot of blue liners is a good thing. And you don't trade away young defensemen unless a team comes knocking and says, you can have Taylor Hall for Adam Larson. So wait until you get a deal like that.
Yeah.
And then you can pull the trigger on a trade. But you don't trade Evan fucking Bouchard because you have Adam Larson, who's 29.
Or Ethan Bear.
Yeah, you don't trade either of them. They're young, they're controllable, they're good, they're getting better. And, Larson's 29, he has a bad back. Tyson Barrie, I don't know. I think he's been good. Like, he's got the Toronto piss smell off him now, and now he's playing well. He seems to have found chemistry with Darnell Nurse. You got the general stench of YYZ urine off of him, and now he's playing well. That's good. I'd be fine if they re-signed Barrie. Like, that's cool, but don't just go out of your way to get rid of a defenseman because you're anxious that you have too many. You can never have too many good defensemen.
Coomsy, where are you living now?
What do you mean, where am I living now? I live in your basement.
He's in a cave.
Well, you're clearly
I'm
in a basement.
downstairs at your place right now. You can hear me yelling.
But I always see you posting these interesting photos. Are you living in Edmonton still, or are you in Toronto?
I'm in Toronto now.
Okay. I didn't know that.
I've been here since late December. I just don't post about my personal life online.
Well, and you clearly don't tell me about it either. And we talk
because
a lot.
you never talk to me.
We talk like all the time now with the DFO stuff.
This is
but
true.
Anyways.
I picked up that as part of my profile because I wanted us to DM more because I miss you.
You stood up in a meeting. You said, "I'll handle this new podcast and all the content." If it means I get to talk to you around.
Jay and Clark were saying Tyler's getting stressed out. He can't handle it. He's nervous. He needs a strong male presence.
There, Tyler.
He needs a strong adult male presence in his life. So I suggested that I jump in and help you out. And here we are.
He is
now.
young Cooom after all.
This is young Cooom after all. You are young Cooom.
I forgot that was a nickname you guys.
Where's the picture you have of me in your room, the autographed one?
I don't have that. I got a nice signed Vladdy Guerrero Jr. jersey though.
You used to have a cutout. Tyler used to have a cutout of me in his bedroom, like one of those fat heads, and I signed it and it said "Best wishes."
Yeah. That's a good idea. That's a gift for anybody. Anybody would enjoy.
Best wishes.
We still play that on every episode of Oilersnation Radio, Cam.
Love that. I know. I listened to every one.
We are back.
Enjoy the content.
That's also still my favorite button. Okay, I want to talk. We were talking about defensemen, so I want to keep talking about Oilers D-men. The news today: Clefbaum's going to have his surgery. Who knows how long it takes? Who knows if he'll ever be better? And I tweeted out, I think this means the fact he's having the surgery and will make an attempt to play again by all accounts. I said that means you have to protect him from Seattle. And a bunch of people are being like, nope, don't protect him. He's hurt. He's a bum. This guy is like 14 or 15 months older than Darnell Nurse. He's only like 20 some. What is he? He's 27 right now.
I think he's my age. I think he's a 92 birthday, I think. So
93, July 93.
29, is it? Yeah, so he's my age. So he's turns 28 this year.
Yeah. This guy, he was their best defenseman 12 months ago. Like, I know the shoulder injuries suck and he's been banged up a lot, but it's not like he's always been out with a shoulder injury. There was the weird infection he got. There was the hand injury and the shoulder thing as well. But I'm stunned at how many Oilers fans are writing this guy off right now and being like, nope, let Seattle have him if they want him. He's a bum. He's hurt. If he comes back, he's a legitimate top 4 defenseman making $4.1 million. You bring that back. You don't let that go.
Here's what I would say, Tyler. The fact that you're surprised is what surprises me. I feel like you need to spend more time reading the Nation's comment section, because right now the two things that are up there the most that drive me crazy are those who keep saying Ethan Bear is easily replaceable, as Cam so eloquently put it. He is not. 2, that they need to trade Ryan Nugent-Hopkins because he is not a $6 million player. And he does not have anywhere near the amount of points as McDavid and Draisaitl. That's what we're dealing with here, Tyler. So I guess my surprise is that you're surprised. You've been in this game a long time. How are you surprised by this?
Yeah, I've been kicking around on the blogosphere for a while. Cam, are you surprised?
No. This is one of those. No, not at all. Like, come on. Like, you know how it is. Like, it's a hot hand thing. Like, Darnell Nurse has had. How many games has it been this year? It's 28. Games. So we're halfway through. Yeah. So Darnell Nurse has been obviously like really, really good this year. Like, this has been his like breakout season. He looks, for the first time in his career, I'd say like a legitimate top pairing number 1 defenseman. Like, if the season were to end today, he'd probably get Norris votes. I think that's fair to say. And based on that, because he's playing well, everyone forgets that Clefbaum exists and is ready to just write him off. And that's just how it always goes. It's the shiny new toy thing. I mean, Nurse is not a shiny new toy, obviously, but like, you know, there's a bunch of other young defensemen, but that's just how it always is. But Clefbaum could come back and be really good, but he also might never play again. So I would, if I were the Oilers brass, I would plan for the worst case scenario, which is that maybe he never comes back, or maybe he does come back and he's, you know, Andre Sekera, when he came back from his ACL and he just wasn't that good. And you just can't really assume that Clefbaum will be anywhere near as good as he was. And if he does, then that's awesome. And it's a cool thing to be wrong about, because then you end up with a surplus, and that's great. But I don't necessarily disagree with the logic of him being one of the ones you expose if you do 7-3. I don't think it's because it's a huge risk for Seattle, right? So are they really going to take him? Like, would you rather expose Puljujarvi or Kyler Yamamoto? Like, it's a difficult question. Or what you could do, which I've suggested on the site before, is you just offer Seattle a first round pick and they take James Neal, and none of this matters.
Do you think it needs to be a first rounder?
I wrote about this a few months ago, so I can't really remember all the details, but I was looking back at what Vegas was getting when they took on these bad deals. And it was, to take on like Clayton Stoner, they got like Shea Theodore, and they got 2 other first round picks. I think one of them was from the Islanders to take on Grabowski. One of them, something like that. Like, it might be a first round pick. Yeah.
The thing with James Neal, as not great as he is, I don't think he's necessarily Clayton Stoner or Mikhail Grabowski, which were like straight up dead fucking money. I wonder if there's a way to even go to Seattle and say, hey, look, you can have whatever player you want. You can have Tyler Benson if you want a young forward, but you also have to take James Neal at 50%. Yeah. And I would try to get rid of him at 50%. If not, like buying out James Neal is also pretty appetizing.
It's true. But then the thing is,
James Neal's got, but while you guys are talking here, he's got 2 more years after this at 5.75. Sorry, go ahead, Cam.
So yeah, like giving up a first round pick to get rid of that isn't ideal. It's not great, but I mean, look at the way things are going right now. This is going to be a late first round pick. This draft looks kind of bleh. Like nobody's played this year. Like the prospects haven't fucking played. So like, who knows what you're getting, right? Like this draft's kind of it's a random draft. Like, I think at least, I don't know, like maybe I'm totally wrong there, but it just seems like you can get yourself out from a lot of problems because this expansion draft for the Oilers is much different than the Vegas one, because with the Vegas one, like everybody was protected pretty much. Well, like all the key players were, like McDavid was already protected. Nurse, I'm pretty sure, was protected, this and that. And they ended up losing like Reinhart. Whereas this time it's like, you know, if you don't play your cards right, you lose, you know, Caleb Jones or Puljujarvi, and that would suck.
It would suck, but I honestly, I mean, I like Caleb Jones a lot, but I'm at a spot where I don't think losing him would be the end of the world either.
He's valuable on the trade market, I think, though. So for me, like what I would do, I actually laid this out earlier today talking with Low Tide a little bit. If you want to leave Clefbaum unprotected because you think Seattle won't touch him because it's too much of a risk, then you can protect McDavid, Draisaitl, a freshly signed Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. You can protect Puljujarvi, Yamamoto as well. That's only 5 forwards. Then you protect Nurse, Bear, and Jones on the blue line. And then, this is what I'd do. I'd protect Nurse, Bear, and Lagesson on the blue line. I would trade Jones for just the best forward I can get for him. I don't give a shit if it's Jake DeBrusk or a third line scoring winger. I just move him. Get a good forward in return. And then you're sitting there with now 6 forwards protected, all 3 of your key D-men protected, and you still have another forward spot open. And in that scenario, what I think you might force Seattle to do is look at your roster and go, okay, well, fuck, we don't want like an unsigned Slater Cuckoo. We don't want Chris Russell. At that point, they could go, we're going to have to get money somewhere. Maybe they just want James Neal or they just want Zach Cassian because they need to find money somewhere.
Yeah.
I mean, with a guy like James Neal too, like if we're thinking it through in the NHL, and I'm not as big of a sports guy as you guys are in other leagues, but I think in the NHL specifically, name recognition goes so fucking far on some of these guys, even when they're well past their primes, that James Neal is a sellable asset in Seattle.
He's a good looking dude who you can say, hey, he scored 20 goals 11 times.
And he was, he's already been on an expansion team too, right? Like he got picked by Vegas. They went to the final. Maybe that matters to them. I don't know.
And that's why I don't even think it would take a first round pick.
Well, obviously, I don't think for the Oilers they can take a first round pick because they have no picks at this draft. Even though, like Cam said, who knows what the fuck.
No second and third. So if they get rid of the first, then fourth. So I think maybe I might need to scratch the first round pick idea. That's yuck.
Unless Holland does, he's done it before. He's traded down.
Yeah. You trade a first for the guy I like. And again, this draft is going to be a crapshoot, but now that we're talking about it, that goalie on the Oil Kings, Sebastian Cossa, he's a fucking monster and he's good. Like he put up unreal numbers as like a 16-year-old in that league. When he showed up to camp as a 15-year-old for the Oil Kings, he was like already 6'6". So what I would almost do is I'd be interested to trade my first for an early second and a third. And I take the goalie from the Oil Kings to finally get the goalie of the future. But anyways.
Goalies are voodoo, though. I have a lot.
Goalies are voodoo.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Plus, they already have their goalie of the future in Mike Smith. He's like a fine wine. He's just getting better with age.
Yeah, it's Schmitty now. I saw somebody on Twitter last night.
What's up with Schmitty? What's that all about?
Because when Tippett does his press conferences, he always goes Schmitty.
He really
because I saw Zach on the website one time put an article up and he spelled it that way, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And I almost went and corrected the headline, and then I saw it on Twitter.
Like, fuck, this has to get. Zach's been doing it on articles for like 6 months, but Cam just keeps going and editing the headlines to fix it.
That's what I do.
I love reading the list of Oilers who are exempt from the upcoming expansion draft. That list includes Bogdan Yakimov and Anton Slepyshev. So thank God we aren't losing one of those two. Fuck.
Yeah, if they use, if they lose,
I do think about having Bouchard exempt from this expansion draft because Todd McClellan refused to play him in his final months here. So thanks, Todd, for that. Appreciate you.
Oh, one more expansion draft thing. So I brought this up back during the coronavirus pause earlier in April or May or some shit.
Happy anniversary, by the way, Coombs.
Yeah. This was 1 year ago today. The Oilers beat the Jets for their last regular season game of 1920. Anyway, so I wrote a post and I said, early look at the expansion draft. And I said, don't sign Nugent Hopkins to an extension. Wait and do it after the expansion draft. Just have a handshake agreement. People were like, what the fuck? Why would you just let Nugent Hopkins walk? What the fuck?
Piece of shit.
Oh, that's not what I was saying. And I just got torched on Reddit and everything. But no, I still think that stands. Why agree and sign that thing before the expansion draft and protect him when it's just basic asset management to wait until after, and then you get another spot, and then you can protect, I don't know, if you feel inclined, you can protect Dominic Cahoon or Josh Archibald or something. I don't know if it really matters. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but it seems like the thing to do.
If you wait on the Nugent Hopkins deal, then you can do the 4-4 one, right? Where you go McDavid, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi, and Yamamoto as your 4 forwards. Handshake deal with Nuge, then he gets signed as soon as the expansion draft is done. Then on the blue line, you could protect Nurse, Clefbaum, Bear, and one of Jones or Lagesson as well.
Easy.
But I mean, in that scenario, you're still almost kind of just losing. But in that scenario as well, you can't trade Jones for a forward. But what you could do then is trade Jones and a pick to Columbus for Merzlikins. And then Seattle might be like, fuck, we should just take Koskinen because we need a goddamn goalie.
God, yeah, that's what they need to do.
Dare to dream. Yeah, dare to dream. Just give Mikko Koskinen.
It's a great way to build a new franchise.
They're like, you know what? It really annoyed us that Vegas went straight to the Cup Finals. We do not want that. So
yeah, we want to take things slow in Seattle. We want to take it easy. We're all about good vibes and chilling. We're not about taking things too fast. It's West Coast energy.
Or whatever. Or they take another bad contract. But that is a way to do it too, is trade Jones for the goalie, go 4-4-2. Protect Stalock as well. I'd love to see this team have a goaltending combo of Stalock and Merzlikins next year. I think that'd be unreal for under $5 million.
So you've written Mike Smith out of the picture.
Unbelievable.
Eventually he has to stop, right? Eventually at some point,
no,
Mike
he
Smith has to
doesn't.
be
Just getting better.
At this current pace.
Don't talk about Olympic gold medalist Mike Smith like that.
Did he play a game in that
Olympics?
Olympics?
He's an Olympic gold medalist. Show some respect.
One thing that bothers me though is Vegas is still exempt from this upcoming expansion draft.
What?
That's unfair.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Crazy. They have been so good since coming in.
And they have 4,000 draft picks still. How is Vegas getting out of this shit? I didn't know this.
It's nonsense. It is complete nonsense.
I guess there's 500 million reasons why they got these rules.
Yeah.
They paid a hefty, I think they paid quite a bit more than those other teams in the 90s did. I think when the Wild and teams like that were coming in, it was a 150 million expansion fee, and Vegas is up at 500 mil.
And they
inflation's obviously a thing, but they paid up the nose for, I would imagine they asked for some favorable stuff like that, because after you saw what happened with those 90s teams, like the Blue Jackets, the Thrashers, Jesus Christ, they were a disaster, and the Blue Jackets finally won their first ever playoff series 2 years ago. The Wild, I don't ugh.
Well, I mean, there was an article up today on The Athletic about the Sabres and Canucks. It's been 50 years since they joined the league or whatever, and neither of them has won a cup yet. The article was literally just two beat reporters going back and forth on which fan base deserves to be more miserable. And that was that's the state of things.
Buffalo, definitely.
I would say as an Oilers fan, I probably wouldn't be so quick to laugh at anyone else.
Especially an Oilers fan that was born after the 80s, like me and Tyler. You were a wee baby when they were good, but I was born in 93. Tyler was born in 2006.
Yeah, I was 5 when they last won a cup, so
I barely remember 06.
Oof.
Yeah, I was 21 in 06. I had a great time, so
I was 13.
I'm not going to laugh at the Sabres too much,
Oh man,
I will laugh at the Canucks though.
Oh yeah, fuck the Canucks.
Yeah,
they had their cup run in 20 whatever too. They're fine for a bit.
We also,
and just the complete nonsense that they thought they were going to be some kind of cup contender after last year's bubble appearance. So fuck
buddy.
that.
Also, one thing, we got shafted as Oilers fans by the Canucks not winning in 2011, because if the Canucks win Game 7, does Peter Chiarelli have the pedigree to become the general manager of the Connor McDavid-led Edmonton Oilers? No.
Yep.
But then who stays as GM? Like, is it just like Mac T running the ship still?
I don't know, like fucking Kevin Lowe's cousin or something. Just like the Oilers, you know?
Sure. Scott Housen. Fuck, I don't know. Like Steve Tambellini, let him sit on his hands and just let it happen. Who knows?
Fuck, that's a great point, though. All right, Coombsy, do you want to stick around for the betting talk, or do you have zero interest in talking about sports betting?
I'm down to talk about sports betting with you guys. I love chatting.
All right, well, we got to get...
I won't contribute anything, but
we'll get to...
interrupt you guys and say stupid things.
We'll get to our friend Scott Hastings from OddsShark in just a second here. Before we do that, need to let you know our partners at Manscaped, they love hockey and they are all in on the NHL this season. 20% off and free shipping with the promo code REALLIFE. You go to their website, manscaped.com, and they got a bit of everything. If you need to get a new razor and all that, bang, 20% off, free shipping, promo code REALLIFE. If you just need, some performance things, kind of like a ball deodorant or a ball toner, bang, 20% off, promo code REALLIFE. Check them out, manscaped.com. And again, that promo code is REALLIFE, gets you 20% off and free shipping.
You know you want smooth beans like me and Tyler.
Uh-huh. I used mine in the shower the other day.
I use mine wherever I'm at, like when I'm in public. And
at the grocery store.
Yeah, I'll just pull it up and give myself a cleaning up. It's real nice.
How does this work?
You go to manscaped.com, use the promo code REALLIFE, you get 20% off their lawnmower 3.0 razor.
Oh,
how do you shave in public? I can show you.
Right.
All right.
Yeah, like if you want to see a before and after, Coombsy, I'll fire you a text.
We'll save that for the next time we go on one of our little Calgary trips and we can finally go in the hot tub like I always ask.
Are you a big hot tub guy, Coombsy?
I love hot tubs. I haven't sat in a hot tub in over a year.
Oh,
Cam,
man,
I was talking to Tyler right as we started this podcast, how it's wild that last year at this time you were in Ireland for first of all. We were doing our normal shit to Calgary and Vegas and stuff, and it's just crazy that a year has gone by since.
Coombsy, in the last episode, I talked about how I've been checking in on my girlfriend's parents' house while they're out of town for a little bit. And when I went in the other day, their entire basement was flooded. And I'd been going there to use the hot tub. So my love of hot tubs might have saved their basement. It's a whole story, though. We got into it already. Scott Hastings from OddsShark is here, though. Scott, how's it going, man?
Good. My basement is not flooded, and I don't have a hot tub. So there you go.
So,
Scott, our first question of the day that we were asking, it's a year of the pandemic now, March 11th. The NBA shut down a year ago. A year from now, are we back in NHL arenas that are full of fans?
No, COVID-20 is going to hit probably, I don't know, in a month or two from now, and stuff's going to go sideways again. No, I think we will. I think we're going to see it in baseball. Baseball is going to be the test. Late this summer, I was listening to a report yesterday from some baseball reporters, and they're hoping that the Canada-US 14-day quarantine will be lifted late summer. So if that's the case, we're going to see it. And Texas, Arlington Stadium, what are the Globe Life, where the Rangers play? They're going full 50,000 day one.
Texas games, going YOLO.
Yeah, they don't care. And Florida's been there for a little while, but Texas, they're also doing. I thought this was interesting, and this is what we might see at first. So Texas is doing a sold out stadium, but they'll have a section that you can buy tickets for that area that is socially distanced. So they'll have like one section. I know they're going to get mocked to hell. But still, there is going to be a section where you can, they'll have separated rows or whatnot, but they are going to be mocked, especially if they do that in New York or something like that. But they are doing it. And that's good for people to have the option to still attend the games, but be safe in their eyes.
Those people will also have to be patient, as it will take them 6 hours to get out of the stadium after the game is over.
Yeah,
that's right.
Let's chat a little hockey betting here, Scott. I'm looking at the divisions right now, and there's, we've talked in the past few weeks about sort of the surprises in each of these divisions. Tampa Bay, the Capitals, Vegas, Colorado, like those teams are kind of expected to be the favorites to win their divisions. But is there value anywhere right now since the last time we talked on maybe a team who you think can surprise in the second half of the season and win their division?
Yeah, for the most part, you're bang on that. It's pretty cut and dry. I think there's a team that might trap some people looking at the odds on Bovada right now. The Blues at plus 950 at what are they, a point or two back from Vegas right now? They're 1 point back from Vegas. So at 9.5 to 1, it's very, very intriguing. But they've played Vegas just one time, and they did win that game. But that's the team you got to beat, and you got to beat them more than once. So I think that's a bit of a trap line. It's intriguing, one game back at 9.5 halfway through the season. I wouldn't hate it to just drop a little bit on St. Louis, but I think it's a bit of a trap line. The one I like the most might be Florida at plus 450. Again, knocking off Tampa Bay is no easy task, but they're sitting 2 games back, and they've taken 2 of 3 away from Tampa already. They got them 5 more times on the season. So if they can somewhat split or do better than a split against Tampa Bay, that might be the team that's providing the best value at plus 450. That East Division, flip a coin. Philly at plus 500, I guess, is a little intriguing because I just like the way they play. I love that Scott Lawton kid. I don't know if you've watched much of him, but he's unreal. But that East Division, flip a coin, choose your favorite team, because that's going to be a dogfight right into the last game.
Scott, beginner betting question of the week. Last night, we were talking about some bets on the Oilers Sens game, and I'm looking at the points totals. Connor McDavid had minus odds at over 1.5. So my question for you is, what is your when does that turn into a bad bet? I'm guessing, is what I'm trying to say. Because yes, it's Connor McDavid. Yes, he's fantastic, but getting 2 points in the NHL isn't exactly easy. But yet the odds were as if it is almost.
Yeah, I would say that would be a bad bet because it's all about value. And for me, I'm all about stats, numbers, statistics, whatever. And I look at, so Connor McDavid averages about 1.5 points per game, give or take, in 1.6, 1.4. So if you're telling me that he's going to get 2 points in a game, that's above his average. So you better pay me something that he's got to do above his average. So if it's at minus odds, it's not a smart bet technically. Going against the Sens, you can definitely make that argument that he's going to drop 5 points, and I get that for sure. But that's sort of what I look for is the number equal or similar to what their average is, and that can be shot total, point total, goals. If you're going to give me Austin Matthews at minus odds to score a goal, I'm not taking that at all. Even though he was close to a goal per game, as you said, it's hard to score a goal in the NHL. And sometimes he makes it look easy, and good for him. But you just got to look at those things. And that's the best way that I approach things is what is your average? And then where does that sit based on an odds perspective? And we have a great odds calculator to sort of give you a little insight on what is the implied win probability. So if it's something that's like even money, it's 50-50 either side. So anything above and below that is a good metric when you're looking at point totals or things like that. It can give you a good metric where you're getting value or you're getting screwed basically by the odds.
Is that odds calculator, is that up at oddshark.com?
It is, yeah. I think you can just Google odds calculator OddsShark, and there's a really good one. We also have a parlay calculator for those juicy folk out there.
Ooh, I like it. Baggedmilk. You hit a nice one last night, eh? Plus 460.
I had a nice little parlay. Yep.
Nice. What was on it?
I had Colorado money line, so they came through in OT. I had Leon Draisaitl over 1.5, and I had over 1.5 goals in the first period of mini Vegas.
Very nice. Good job.
I had a hell of a night last night too. I think I placed like 10 bets and I went 9-1 or something like that. It was just insane. We eating good tonight.
That's right. You got to fix up all that water in the basement, right?
It's not my fucking basement, but I am the hero in that situation, and I stand by that statement. All right, Scott, let's look at tonight's slate here before we let you go. It's a busy one, 10 games on tap, 2 in the All-Canadian division. Can you give us some plays? What do you like?
Yeah, hopefully we get the 3-0 and not these 2-1 BS.
Well, maybe people should just bet them separately then, unit on each instead of the parlay. But anyways, what do we got?
The
Your
options
parlay
are
hit for me
plentiful.
last week, Scott.
No. I missed on somebody choked for us down the
Yeah,
stretch.
someone missed it. I forget who it was.
Maybe
Now.
it was 2 weeks ago.
Might have been Florida.
Yeah.
I always like a good
Oh,
Hastings
yeah.
parlay, though.
Yeah, that's right. So I got one here that I'm liking. Kicking it off with Boston, minus 185, a little chalky, but this is a parlay, so away we go. I always have my plus 1.5 here. It was Buffalo, plus 1.5. It just clicked in my head.
Yeah.
We go with another plus 1.5. Nashville, plus 1.5 to Carolina is getting minus 125. And then I always throw in my little underdog, and I like the Blackhawks over the Stars, and they're about plus 125. So you can add that up. I'm not sure what it comes out to, but there you go.
My book has them at plus 136 to beat the Stars. So I'm getting
even
good odds
better.
there. So we got the Bruins on the money line, the Blackhawks on the money line, and the Predators plus 1.5 goals against the Hurricanes. That parlay pays out plus 547 on the sports book I'm looking at. So let's hope if we can finally cash one in here, Scott.
That's right. Let's get her, boys.
All right. I know we wanted to talk live betting, but we might save that for next week here because we're running out of time. Scott, as always, man, appreciate the insight.
Take care, fellas. Enjoy the games tonight.
There you go. That is Scott Hastings from OddsShark.com. All the sports betting information you need to make the sharper play. Head to OddsShark.com, and Scott plugged those calculators as well, which can help you out. Coomsy, you sat idly by for that conversation. You wagering tonight? You're not a betting guy, are you?
No, I didn't understand any of that.
Yeah,
I can't wrap my head around it.
When we started the segment, we
it's
like
interesting
kind of
though, because I was where Cam was. Like when I started betting on this, I was like you. I was sitting there during this segment, not knowing what the fuck anybody was talking about. And then in August, during the bubble playoffs, I was just like, well, I might as well try and join to have some fun. It's amazing how quickly you pick it up, though. It's like it's nothing makes sense, and then all of a sudden, oh, everything makes sense. Now, do you want to be a degenerate and have a place to live, or do you want to live in your car? That's
so. If I was going to get into it tonight, what should I do?
Well, Scott gave us the picks in the NHL. Let me throw you this since you are Mr. Blue Jays Nation. The book I use has the Jays over under for the season on 87.5 wins. Think the Jays can win more than 87.5 games this season?
No,
you'd go under that.
I'd go no, I don't think they'll win more than 80. They're not going to win 88 games, I don't think. They'll probably be around 84, 85.
That's disappointing. I thought you'd be higher on them.
No, I'm pretty conservative when it comes to the Jays. Like they had a good year last year, but it was 60 games.
Yeah.
Like, there's going to be growing pains. It is what it is. Like, they're good, but baseball's hard and it's a long season. Like it'll be what did they win? Like 69, 70-ish games in 2019. Like, we're only a couple years away from that. So there's still a ways to go there, and that's okay.
Since I have you on and I love my Toronto Blue Jays, what's holding them back? What's the biggest hole?
Pitching.
Yeah,
starting pitching's terrible. Like it's Hyun-Jin Ryu and a whole bunch of question marks, and even their one non-question mark is a question mark. Like Ryu has pitched 200 innings like once in his career. So if he gets injured, then your ace is what? Tanner Rourke? Like there's a ways to go here. Like
to put it into Oilers terms for those listening, the Jays pitching staff is basically Leon Draisaitl. That's
so it can get the job done. It can get the job done, but it's a fucking wish and a prayer, is what you're saying.
Pretty much. It's a pretty similar energy, honestly.
That's fair enough. Yeah. All right. Sure. All right. There you go. That's our betting report. Yeah. Coomsy, if you ever want to get into it, me and Baggedmilk can help you become a degenerate. Anyways.
Sure. Risky Business going up before puck drops now on game days. New show on Insta Live.
We got a lot of game day shit going on here. Like, not only do we have the articles at Oilersnation.com, but I have my pregame podcast that usually drops around 1 p.m, sometimes earlier on weekends. And then you got Jay and Josh that go live on Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube with the pregame show. And then you have Baggedmilk now going live on Instagram an hour before puck drop with the betting show. And then after the game, we got Baggedmilk as well with the Beatcast. There's a lot going on.
Yep. And speaking of which, Tyler, I just want to talk to you as I get into the rhythm of Risky Business, of maybe broadcasting it across more than the one spot like you guys do with State of the Nation on Tuesday.
Oh, heck yeah. I can teach you how to do that.
See, this is how we workshop. It all happens on the podcast.
All right. Well, we've been going for an hour here now. Coomsy, appreciate you joining the pod here. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no problem. It's always good to come on and talk about sports.
Before we let you go, Cam, tomorrow, third game of the series against the Sens. What are you thinking?
Well, they won the first one, 3-2 was the first game? Yeah, 3-2. And they won 7-1. So if my math's correct, they're going to win, I don't know, something like 20-0.
Something like that.
20-21 ish. So that's what I expect for Friday. Yeah, that's how it works. 21-0.
Tyler, what are you thinking?
I don't know, man. It's so hard to beat a team this many times in a row. But
that's
now
I'm thinking.
Well, but I was thinking that before last game and even the one on Monday. But now it's just like, if the Oilers score one early, you have to think the Senators bench just sits there and is like, fuck, here we go again. Like, it's over. So I think the Oilers can win again tomorrow night. Like, I think Koskinen will play fine and they'll get one early and the Senators will just implode and it'll be like a 4-1 win. I don't know.
4-2 win Oilers.
Okay.
Sweep.
Sure. All righty. That's going to do it for another episode of the Real Life Podcast, brought to you by Oodle Noodle. Find them on your favorite food delivery app. Twig and Berries, where your promo code is Nation15. That gets you 15% off. Manscaped.com, where your promo code is Real Life. That gets you 20% off and free shipping. Manscaped.com. And I think I got all the sponsors down there. Oh, also shout out to Struddy for joining the pod for a little bit as well. This one was the Baggedmilk, Baggedmilk, and Cooom show, and it was a lot of fun. This has been episode 263 of the Real Life Podcast, and now it's over.
Great job on making it through the entire hour of the Real Life Podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe wherever you get your podcast from.